In this video, we are going to see the complete protocol of how to do a class 4 composite build-up in addition with the diastema closure. What techniques are to be used, what matrix system have to be used, all of this is discussed in detail. Sparkling white teeth, that is one thing which everyone wants. Whether it is a dentist, whether it is a patient, everyone likes to have nice looking teeth. And we as a dentist should be proud because we have the ability to enhance the patient's smile. Well, when it comes to any composite restoration, composite, it has been said that it is a bit technique sensitive. Yes, it is no doubt a bit technique sensitive procedure, but if performed properly and if none of these steps are eliminated, then we can deliver predictable and long-term results. Well, today's case is of a combination case, I would say, of a incisal ledge buildup, that is a class 4 buildup with a diastema closure. Now, what exactly do we need with the materials, how to do the technique, which matrix system has to be used, all of this is explained in detail. Now, before we go on to the presentation, I hope you have subscribed my channel and don't forget to click the bell icon because tomorrow when I make such videos, you will receive a notification. If the right protocols are followed and none of the steps are missed, we can deliver beautiful restorations as you can see here. So we have this case of the maxillary left central incisor where you can actually see that an old composite restoration has been done, and not only that, there is a diastema between both the central incisors. So let's exactly go ahead and decode as to what is going to be our treatment plan. Now suppose I do an approximate measurement of the right central incisor and I superimpose the same measurement on the left central incisor. You can clearly make out that the mesodistal width of this central incisor is deficient. Not only that, if you see the incisal edge configuration on the right central incisor, then on the left central incisor, the old composite is not done properly. In fact, it is a bit deficient on some of these sides. Therefore, my protocol is to do the diastema closure plus the incisal edge buildup. Now from the occlusal surface you can clearly see the old composite that has been done and it shows signs of secondary decay. So our intention is to remove the entire old composite and make a new one, and you can clearly appreciate the diastema between the two central incisors. This is how the rubber dam isolation was done. So anterior quadrant isolation was done from first premolar to first premolar, and a secondary clamp, that is the number 44 clamp, was used on the left central incisor. So we start with this first step of removing of the old restoration. Now it is of course it makes common sense that we are going to use diamond for the same, but one point that I would like to note here, that always use the smallest diameter or smallest size burr available. It does not make sense using large size burrs because there is a possibility that we might remove any kind of healthy tooth structure, that is the healthy enamel, which plays a very critical and very vital role in bonding. Therefore, use the smallest burr as available and take as much time as you want for the old restoration or caries removal. Now next important step is, once the old restoration and caries removal has been done, we need to refine the margins of our cavity. So we don't want to leave any loose enamel rods or unsharp margins or uneven margins, because in case if we are layering a composite there, then under masticatory load this thin composite can actually fracture. So please smoothen all the margins properly. This is how the tooth looks after the old restoration has been removed, the caries has been removed, and the margins are have been properly polished. Now, before we start with any kind of etching protocol, it is necessary that we shield the adjacent teeth, because we do not want the adjacent teeth to get etched. Because in case if they are also getting etched, there is a possibility that some amount of composite might get stuck to the adjacent teeth, even if you are not using bonding agent on those teeth. Therefore, to do the same, we can either use Teflon on both the sides, or maybe you can use any kind of matrix band to shield it while etching. Now, the most critical step of etching has to be done in a very proper and effective manner. So, for the same, it is necessary that we don't just apply etchant on the tooth and leave it for 30 to 40 seconds, but it is necessary that we actively scrub the etchant with a micro brush, so that each and every surface of the tooth gets etched properly. Now, the similar protocol has to be followed for your bonding agent or adhesive application, where it is to be actively scrubbed for minimum 30 to 40 seconds, so that those resin tags which are there, they are properly formed, and you will get a very good bonding strength with your composite restoration. Therefore, actively scrub the etchant also, and actively scrub your bonding agent also. Now, the first step in any class 4 case is building the palatal wall, because building the palatal wall first gives us some kind of scaffold over which the other part of layering can be done. Now, the best technique to perform this is definitely the putty index technique, where we are taking an impression, sending it to the lab, and we have a mock-up ready in our hand. But in case the putty index fabrication is not possible, as in this case there was a time shortage, so just by using a mylar strip and holding it with a finger, we can easily build the palatal wall with your composite shade, that is that you are going to layer. Now, it is very necessary in such cases that we make the palatal wall as thin as possible. Yes, friends, do not make this wall very thick, because suppose you, if you are not going to use a mono shade, a single shade, and you are going to use multiple shades, then there is a possibility that the restoration might look more translucent. Okay, more amount of light might pass through it. Now, for the distal angle build-up, what I've done, I've used a matrix pull-through technique in this case. So as you can see, I am layering some amount of composite over the distal angle build-up. It should not be too thick. It should be just the right quantity that is needed. So first and foremost, it is necessary that while my finger is supporting the matrix or the mylar strip, I layer the composite properly, because there should not be any incorporation of voids, air bubbles, etc. In the pull through technique, I am folding the two ends together, and the palatal end of my mylar strip, I am pulling it outside, as you can see. But while I am trying to pull it outside, the finger is still resting on the buccal aspect. Let's see that once again in slow motion. As you can clearly see, I have folded the matrix band, and the palatal end of the mylar strip, I am pulling it outside, while my thumb of my left hand is still resting on the buccal aspect. So as you can see here, I have pulled the matrix band completely, and this leads to build up of my distal contact. Now, for the mesial buildup, I have chosen to do injection molding. However, you can do this step with any choice of matrix band that you like. But one thing that I would like to emphasize here is it is important in diastema closures that we do some kind of hip creation. Okay, so what exactly is this hip creation? So in case if I am not preparing a hip and I go ahead and I make my restoration, as you can see in the dotted line in front of your screen, then what is going to happen is that between the two central incisor, the black triangle is going to remain as it is. So when it comes to hip creation, it is necessary that we build a small platform of composite and then place our matrix band and the wedge. Therefore, when I make a small buildup of composite, that is a hip creation, and then when I use the matrix band and my wedge, there is practically not going to be any black triangle that is seen. This is a very common error that happens during diastema closures, that the diastema still remains post-operatively. Therefore, to perform this step, I have placed the BioClear matrix band, and as you can note here that I have still not placed a wedge here. Okay, once the hip has been created, then after that I would be using my wedge to achieve some kind of separation between the teeth, due to which I would be having a very tight contact. So I have placed a small drop of flowable in the most cervical part of the tooth, where exactly I want the hip. And from the palatal aspect, as you can see, I am holding the matrix band with my finger, and I would be approximating the matrix band from the buccal aspect also. Then we go ahead and light cure this small drop of composite. This is how the hip looks. So as you can see here, a small amount of composite has been placed, and there is a small platform over which my matrix band and my wedge is going to come. Now is the step where I would be using the wedge to create some kind of separation between the two teeth, and it is very critical that you use a wedge in any composite restoration, because whenever you achieve separation between the teeth, once your restoration is going to be slightly overbuilt, and once the wedge has been removed, you are going to have a very tight contact between the adjacent teeth. So using a wedge is very important. Now, when it comes to injection molding, two things are very critical: warmed flowable composite and warmed packable composite in a compule form. So, in the first step, we are placing sufficient amount of flowable composite into the cavity so that it is not deficient. We want as sufficient quantity as possible. And secondly, in this uncured flowable composite, we are injection molding our warmed packable composite. So as you can see here, I am injection molding the warmed packable composite. And another point that you can note here is that while I am injection molding, my compule or my compule gun is not stationary at a particular point. So I am moving the tip all over the tooth, because I do not want any areas to remain deficient. Now before I light cure, I am removing whatever excess is there, whatever excess I can, because that is going to save a lot of post operative time for me. Also, with the help of composite brushes, I am adapting it to the rest of the tooth structure, so that I don't have any kind of step creation. So all these steps are basically just to reduce the post-operative time that I am going to spend in finishing and polishing. Now, before I light cure, I am approximating the matrix band from the buccal aspect, because whatever excess has been created from there is also going to get minimized. So this is how the composite looks once it is injection molding completely. Now the next step where you need to spend a lot of time is the finishing and the polishing step. Now the first step of any finishing and polishing protocol is shape creation. Okay, so whatever central incisor shape is there, that is those two line angles, the incisor ledge, etc., all has to be created in a proper manner. Now for this I am using the coarse Soflex disc. Now the Soflex discs are very handy, and we can use the Soflex disc in both the directions, that is you can use it upside down also and the other way also. So as you can see here, from the buccal aspect also, as well as the incisal edge, the coarse Soflex disc is used to remove whatever excess is there and to flush the composite with the rest of the tooth structure. Now, when I'm doing this step of shape creation, it is necessary that I see the composite restoration from different angles as to first and foremost remove whatever excess flash is there, and secondly to give the restoration a proper contour and form. Therefore, I am seeing the composite restoration from occlusal, from the distal view, etc. Because from a particular angle you might it might seem that the restoration looks perfect now, but eventually once the restoration is done, the patient might point out a few kind of faults. Now, near the most critical area, that is near the interdental papilla, there is a possibility that the Soflex disc might, tear the rubber dam sheet and injure the papilla. Therefore, you can use this technique where I'm shielding the interdental papilla with my plastic filling instruments, and I'm using carbide to remove whatever excess flash is there from those areas. Now, another situation where an error can occur is this creation of this small tiny incisal embrasure. Yes, there have been instances where I have accidentally over prepared the incisal embrasure to such an extent that I had to eventually rebuild it up. Therefore, perform this step in a very controlled manner, and don't use the core Soflex disc at complete speed. In fact, use it at intermittent speeds. So with this, I have completed my finishing protocol. Whatever excess removal was to be done has been removed. The gross removal has been done. The shape to be given to the tooth has also been completed. And now we would be starting with our polishing protocol. Now for the polishing protocol, in this case, I have used the Eve Diacom Twist Spiral. So this has a pre-polisher and a final polisher. So the pink one or the purple one is the polisher, where whatever excess, whatever rough surface is there is evened out, and we achieve a very smooth and even surface with this. So near the interdental papilla, again I am shielding it with my plastic filling instruments because I don't want the spirals to injure the papilla. So after the pre-polisher has been used, I am eventually achieving the glass luster or the final polish with the white spirals. So this has to be run at a speed of 20,000 rpm, and it has to be done in a dry mode. Do not use wet. In fact, I would be using just a wet cotton to wipe out the debris and to check the final luster with the restoration. So from the palatal aspect, buccal aspect, incisal aspect, everything has to be polished well. So this is how the restoration looks post-operatively. As you can see, the final luster creation, the shape anatomy, the glass type finish, and the exact shade match with the rest of the tooth. And to understand the shape more better, it is best that we view it from the occlusal aspects, because we exactly know that the final shape of the restoration is proper or not. Because eventually if I need to compare the shade versus shape, then the shape definitely ranks higher or more as compared to the shade. Because even if the shade of the tooth is slightly mismatched, the restoration does not look unaesthetic. But in case the shape of the restoration is not proper, the restoration is not going to look aesthetic. Like this video? So I hope many things have been cleared when it comes to performing a class 4 composite build-up, or maybe it is a diastema closure. If you have any kind of doubts, please feel free to comment below, and I would be more than happy to answer all of your doubts. And lastly, do not forget to subscribe my channel, and don't forget to click the bell icon, because tomorrow when I make such videos, you will receive a notification. See you again.